أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to the fifth in our series of Instagram lives all about gaining strength through the Quran and Quran journaling. Now you may wonder that after 4 or 5 sessions of Quran journaling, perhaps we've said enough and perhaps we've covered the topic well. But actually the Quran is so relevant, and every time we open it we will find new lessons that we can learn, new wisdom for us to inculcate into our lives. So even if we had another 5 Instagram lives or another 10 or another 1,000, we will never be able to exhaust the lessons that we can learn, and we will never be able to fully explain the wisdom that is within the Holy Quran. So as the situation in Gaza intensifies, and we are watching on our screens how women and children and the young and the old are being indiscriminately targeted and are suffering so greatly, our hearts are breaking for them. Our hearts are breaking in a way that we need to somehow become stronger. And the only way that we can mend our hearts and become stronger through this process is by resorting to the Holy Quran and the words of God in these times. Here to help us make sense of what we're seeing and give us strength and comfort and understanding in these difficult times is our very own Shaykh Nuru Mohammed, resident alim of Birmingham, lover of the Holy Quran. He set up many initiatives here in Birmingham, such as the Lady Fizza Quran competition, and also many around the world. So we're so pleased to welcome him here today. Just whilst I add him to the conversation, let me behindthecloud.com. You can get your copy there. And if you're from a community and you'd like to order in bulk, please do get in touch with us. We can, inshallah, organize some discounts for you as well. So do get in touch if you're interested in ordering it for your community or group of friends. And yet again, I can't do this. Let me see if I can. Try again. Accept.
MashaAllah. Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tahsin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for coming. I know you are very, very busy. And the fact that you've given us some of your time today, I'm so honored.
No, it's a great pleasure. It's really a great pleasure to be here. This is definitely a good cause, and why not be part of it?
Thank you so much, Shaykh. Thank you so much. I really have always admired your knowledge of the Holy Quran and how you're able to quote verses from the top of your head. And really, I'm sure it's such a massive part of your success as well in your daily life.
Thank you, man. It definitely is a blessing of Almighty Allah Ta'ala. We can't thank Allah enough for His mercy upon us. Yeah. And I mean, there is no vehicle better than the Holy Quran if we're looking for whatever solutions we are looking for in our lives, be it individual lives, societal life, whatever life it might be. Quran, I believe, is the greatest healer.
This is true. This is true. And in these really, really difficult times, you've chosen some verses that will give us a lot of hope, inshallah.
Inshallah. No, definitely. Quran is a massive ocean. As they say, it's a dining. You will never be able to exhaust whatever is on that dining. So we'll only try the little that we can. As they say in philosophy, what you cannot achieve all, you cannot miss all. So we're just going to try, based on our capability and understanding, to share some inspirations from the Holy Quran so that we are able to navigate the challenges that we are faced with in this day and age.
Inshallah. And so for some of the people watching, what advice would you give them, to begin their journey?
Absolutely. I think for me, the best advice, because I've tried this and really I've seen the benefit of it, is to take Quran as a friend. Don't allow a day to pass without at least going through a verse from the Holy Quran. Although the tradition of the Holy Prophet encourages us at least 10 verses every day. But obviously, the tradition is not saying it's mandatory, it's wajib, I must do 10 verses every day. No, look at your circumstance, look at your situation, and make sure a day will not go without at least a verse from the Holy Quran. And the best way to do it, from my humble experience, is to look at the topics that you are so interested in. You know, topics that are related to you. Some love mysticism, for example. Some love social life. You know, so there are so many verses in the Holy Quran discussing whatever we might be interested in our lives. That's how you begin with. So when you go with what interests you, the more you go to it, the more you are able to build that relationship with the Holy Quran. And by the time you realize you have this strong bonding with the Holy Quran, and it will be very difficult to allow a day to pass without at least going through the Holy Quran. And Quran itself, you know, as the Holy Prophet really taught us, without even understanding, when you hear someone reciting it with a beautiful voice, it appeals to the heart, let alone even understanding something from it. So sometimes, you know, we'll just sit alone and listen to the beautiful recitation of the Holy Quran. It also heals the heart, it pierces the heart, and it gives us that sukoon. Yeah.
100%. Thank you so much. That's amazing advice. I really like the idea of choosing a topic that you like and finding verses about that. That's amazing. And it's partly what we're doing today. We're picking something that's really affecting our lives at the moment. I mean, I find it difficult. I mean, on a personal level, I feel like even if I close my eyes, I still see their faces, I see their suffering, and it's really difficult to go about daily life. I feel like things are never going to be the same again. We can't unsee the things that we've seen. So I'm glad that we're doing this. It's a really good chance to sort of put a perspective on things, a Quranic perspective.
Yeah. No. Thank you so much, Tahseen, and the son behind Cloud, you know, for organizing this very important session. And definitely, I like the idea of taking Quran as a vehicle to be able to navigate through. It is not easy. It has not been easy for parents, for children, for grandparents, Muslims and non-Muslims alike. It has been tough. And personally, if I look at it from my own perspective, individually, there were times when I would just switch off the news and stay away from it, because I was seeing things that I couldn't bear. So what I would do, I would immediately go, make my wudu, pick up Quran, open randomly, and just go through a few verses for, you know, to invite Allah to talk to me. It has not been easy. And secondly, you know, as a resident alim in a community, normally people will reach out to you when they go through challenges. And I've seen members of my community, you know, coming to me, what is it that we can do? How do we advise our children? Because we ourselves, we are struggling. So I think the best advice is the Holy Quran. And therefore the verses we've chosen, these are some of the verses really in the Holy Quran that can help us navigate through this current challenge that we are faced with. We see children dying every single day, pregnant women dying every single day. No, we're not talking of clean water. There is no water. At one point, electricity was not there. So it's very difficult. Anyone who has some sort of humanity, some sort of sense of humor within him or her, will be touched by this, will feel the pain. And so therefore here we are. We'd like to consult our beloved and merciful Creator, Almighty Allah Ta'ala, and say, Ya Allah, here we are, your slaves and your servants. You are the Creator. You are the Sustainer. We are faced with these challenges, and you know better than us, because your knowledge is before things. but our knowledge are after things. What is your advice, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala? Quran. You know, the Holy Prophet tells us, if you truly want to talk to Allah, what do? Salah. And if you want Allah to talk to you, hold on to the Holy Quran. So let us begin looking at these verses that we've chosen. And so the way I looked at these verses, these are 5 verses. They are in order. So the first one leads to the second one, and the second one leads to the third one. That's how I chose the verses. So the first one, So the first one is obviously Quran 9, verse 51, Surah At-Tawbah.
Surah At-Tawbah, verse number
51.
51. Yeah. Okay. If you have my Quran study journal, that is page number 234.
200.
Yes,
Excellent. So this is the verse, Surah At-Tawbah, verse 51. And if you go through this verse to begin with, you know, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala tells us, قُلْ لَنْ يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا وَهُوَ مَوْلَانَا وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. First, just look at the translation before we go into the nitty-gritties of the verse. It's a very powerful verse. So Allah says, Kul, say, talking to who? To our beloved Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah now addressing the Holy Prophet. Never will we strike except by what Allah has decreed for us. And then if you go further, he said, He is our protector. And upon Allah, let the believers rely. To begin with, every verse you come across, my dear brothers and sisters, the first question that comes to mind is the reason for the revelation of that particular verse. Because the reason for the revelation may lead you to what message the verse is putting across. But I and you understand that not every single verse of the Holy Quran has a direct reason for the revelation. Some verses, you will come across their reasons for revelation in the verses before them, and some in the verses after them. Some, you need to look at group of verses to be able to tell exactly what the verse is all about. So whether a verse that you are dealing with has a direct reason for revelation or not, we have a general principle when it comes to Quran, that each verse, you don't look at it only within the reason why it was revealed. Yes, that is the point of departure. But otherwise, it can be applied in different circumstances, in different challenges, in different situations. So now let's look at this verse. This verse doesn't have a particular reason for revelation. But if you look at verses before it, it helps us to really understand what this verse is all about. It's talking about the Battle of Tabuk. So obviously, there were those who disobeyed the instruction of our beloved Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then, of course, Quran refers to them as hypocrites. So they did not take heed to the calling of our beloved Prophet when it comes to the Battle of Tabuk. And then what they would do after that, they will spread rumors that this thing has happened to the Holy Prophet. This has happened. Something very negative about Muslims, but in particular about our beloved Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it was a challenge. Battle of Tabuk was a challenge. So here, Allah comes forward, addressing our beloved Prophet and his beloved companions. Nothing to worry about. Whatever happens to you, it will be under the watchful eyes of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And Allah, of course, is all merciful So long as everything is under his watchful eyes, don't worry. Tell them, وَهُوَ مَوْلَانَا وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Here, the key point is the tawakkul. It's the concept of tawakkul. Here, we are faced with a massive challenge in this day and age. Lives are getting lost day by day, every second. Mass burial. Some are still under buildings. Allah knows whether they will be discovered or not. Where do we go? How do we console ourselves? By relying on Almighty Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. Because we know Allah is absolute justice. And there is no way Allah will see atrocity and leave it there. Sooner or later, Allah's justice will prevail. Sanity will prevail, whether in our lifetime or after us. But you as a believer, my dear brother and my dear sister, we are all in this together. We are all in pain. First step is to activate the concept of tawakkul. What is tawakkul? Well, this ayah said, وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Not everyone has absolute reliance on Allah except the mu'minun, except those who wholeheartedly believe indeed Allah is in charge. We will try our level best, but the boss up there, he is in charge. And he will.
That's the prerequisite to tawakkul, isn't it? The prerequisite to tawakkul is knowing that Allah is all aware.
Absolutely.
Knowing that he is able to do anything.
Absolutely.
Knowing that he's just.
Yes. Yes. He's aware. He knows what is happening. And he's more than able to do anything at any point in time. And then I believe wholeheartedly Allah is like that. Now some may ask, what is this tawakkul? Because I'm inviting myself and all. We need tawakkul during this challenging time. So what is tawakkul? So there are two things here we need to bear in mind. We have what the scholars call tawakkul and what we call tawakkul. What is tawakkul? Okay, Allah is there. I'm not going to do anything. He is in charge. Wallahu basirun bil ibad. Allah is all seeing. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to relax. I'm going to carry on with my life. I'm going to enjoy my time with my family. That is tawakkul. That is not tawakkul.
Yeah. Somebody might say, if everything's already written, if Allah is, it says here, there's nothing's going to happen unless Allah's already written it. So there's nothing I can do about it. So it's already written.
But the thing is, Allah has the power. And He has given insan free will. So we all have free will. So we have that intellect, the desire, and imagination. That's our free will. So when I activate my free will, then Allah's power and authority comes and stamps it. So the tawakkul that Islam and Quran is inviting us is to say, you can make a move. And if you are determined and sincere in your move, that move can change something. Don't belittle what you can do. And I'm going to share with you just now the component of tawakkul as per the traditions of our beloved Prophet. Yes, you don't fold your arms, but you need to do something. The first thing is what? You need to be active. You need to embark on a journey. It could be donating to alleviate the sufferings of our brothers and sisters in Gaza, in Palestine. It could be attending peaceful protests. At least you are doing something. It could be making dua, seeking divine intervention on behalf of these people, and make it integral part of your life. No, fasting and say, my intention of this fasting is to seek divine intervention on behalf of these people who don't have any power except Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. That's the first ingredient of tawakkul, that I play my part. It's so important, because there are people out there that say, who will say, you know what, this is not going to happen.
Yeah. It seems impossible. How will things change? But I think that we can see the tide moving, and once we sort of have a hope that things will change, things will be different, we can do something. Oh, we have God on our side.
Absolutely.
And He is just.
Absolutely.
You know, I was looking at this verse when He sent it to me, and when it said the verb kataba, I've seen it so many times in the Quran. And then I remembered the verse. كَتَبَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ الرَّحْمَةِ.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
Allah might have written all of our, decreed all of our, musibah, or anything that's going to happen to us, anything that's going to befall us.
Yeah.
Allah might have, He already has knowledge of that. As you said, He has knowledge of things before they happen, and we have knowledge after they happen.
Absolutely.
But the knowledge that we have is what He's decreed upon Himself, which is Rahmah.
Absolutely.
And that
Totally agree.
knowledge is so comforting in these times.
Absolutely.
You know, when you see such a lack of Rahmah in this world, like I can't bear to see, these children's faces and thinking that this is there for everybody to see. And is there not a person with Rahmah to go and help them? Not a single Muslim who can get some water to them. It's like a very difficult thing to see. But remembering that verse,
no. You are right, Yasin. Allah is a Rahmah, and Rahmah is Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. He just wants the good ones to step in, and He will engulf us with His Rahmah. Typical example, you see Imam Hussein, the grandson of our beloved Prophet. He made a profound statement in Karbala. He had no military power than his enemy. They had more military power than him. He was on the ground, and he made a statement. He said, I found whatever is happening to me so easy because I know it is under the watchful eyes of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Allah is so merciful. So, first ingredient of tawakkul, do something. Be active in your own small way. No, sit and discuss. Sit and discuss. Because the more you discuss, like what we are doing now, it relieves us of this burden. It heals the heart. It's so important that we are able to open up and discuss one way or the other. Second component of tawakkul is sadaqah. Sadaqah. This is special sadaqah you do, Ya Allah. We rely on you. But you taught us through our beloved prophets. As-sadaqatu tadfa'ul bala. Sadaqah removes calamity. And we have traditions that sadaqah is one of the components of tawakkul. So I give sadaqah. This sadaqah, I'm doing it, giving to someone who deserves it. Ya Allah, use it to relieve our brothers and sisters in Palestine of what they are going through. That's number two. Number three component of tawakkul is Quran. Recitation of the Holy Quran. The greatest form of dua is Quran. Mu'minin and Mu'minat can come together, complete the whole Quran on behalf of the oppressed in our lifetime. It's so important. And then the last component really, where the Holy Prophet tells us, is of course strengthening family relationships. Coming. So therefore, in short, on this verse, it's all about tawakkul on Allah. So we invite you, keep playing your part. Keep playing your part while relying on that divine and absolute mercy, which I have no doubt, sooner or later, the mercy of Allah will come down.
Inshallah. When you say these things are written, I feel like it's comforting to know that Allah knows
Yeah.
He knows what's in our hearts. He knows what's in the hearts of those people. Like you said, although so much is being captured on social media and we're seeing so much, there's so much we're not seeing. There's so much pain and suffering that is not being shown or under the rubble, or people are being conspired against in ways that we don't understand, we can't see from here. So knowing that Allah knows everything is so true. And you know what? Like you said, sometimes knowing the verse before and knowing the verse after is really important. So the verse after is really amazing too. Do you not await one of two excellent things to happen to us? And those two excellent things are victory or martyrdom.
Absolutely. 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 Look at these children. What are their faults? What are their sins? They've not committed any sin. These are young children. And there is no one to protect them in the world. No, Allah is there. Don't lose hope, my dear brothers and sisters. Whoever is watching us, from wherever you are watching, wallahi, don't lose hope. Believe in Allah. Have this itmi'nan and thika billahi azza wa jal. That is what tawakkul is all about. Keep going. I know sometimes it's sort of demotivating, discouraging sometimes, but no. We have a creator who created this entire world and whatever is inside this world. And that creator, I repeat, is so just, is so merciful. And it's a rahmah, you can see its manifestations everywhere. Keep lifting your hand and reaching out to him.
Yeah.
You'll never go wrong. And that will lead us to the second verse.
Yes, straight. Let's do it.
Yeah. So if you look at this second verse, really, it's a known verse, I'm sure, to most of us.
Just remind us of the reference. It's
Quran 2, 186. So in the journal,
Surah Baqarah. Yeah, Surah Baqarah, verse 186. Yes.
Yeah.
It is page 33 of my Quran study journal. You can see it's already a page highlighted on mine because it's just like you said, just your statement verse. One that we often quote or even just remind ourselves of so often, because it's one of those ones that we need to keep at the forefront of our mind as we go through our daily lives. Bismillah.
Absolutely. And of course, that is the fifth component of tawakkul. Dua. You look at the ayah, it's a beautiful ayah. And it has so many reasons for revelation. But these reasons are more or less interlinked. They are more or less the same. First reason, for example, someone came to our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he asked the Prophet a very straightforward question. He said, "Is our Lord close to us or far away?" So that we can keep calling him because we need him. Then this verse was revealed to our beloved Prophet. That's one reason for the revelation. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي. And when my servant asks you. So that's the first reason for the revelation. Some said no. Some group of companions came to our beloved Prophet and sincerely asked the Prophet, when do we ask Allah? What's the right time to raise up our hands and make dua? What's the right time? Then Allah replied, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ. In other words, there is no right time. Any time is the right time. Yes, there are traditions that tell us this particular day in a month, this particular time. But this ayah is telling us at any point in time, wherever you may be, you've got that boarding pass to call on Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, and Allah will be there for you. And then, of course, some scholars, of course, based on one tradition also, some came to the Prophet. They said, Kaifa nadu Allah? You are encouraging us to call on Allah, to make dua. How do we do, or how do we go about it? Then the verse came down. It's your own formula. You must, in whatever way you go to Allah, Allah is more than ready to listen to you. You just have to be yourself. And at this point, I would really like to say to my dear brothers and sisters, Just be yourself. Our brothers and sisters in Gaza, in Palestine, they seriously need our du'as. Don't you get encouraged when you see those young children sitting somewhere in Gaza and reciting Quran in such a beautiful voice, and sometimes making dua, and these du'as and recitations are viral all over, you can see.
Oh, really? Today I saw a video of somebody asking a child, "Aren't you scared?" And he said, "Scared? Why should I be scared when I have Allah?" He says, "We have Allah and they named another country."
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, what do we have to be scared of?" And I thought, what strength! It's so inspiring.
It's powerful. It's powerful. So if you look at this ayah, my dear brothers and sisters, there are so many important inspirational points in this verse that really I would like to remind myself and remind my brothers and sisters. And so that when we go after this session, action plan, we need to do something when it comes to supplication, when it comes to dua. Look at the first part of the ayah. It said, "What is sa'alaka ibadi?" We stop there a bit. This ibadi, my servants. So there are different types of servants. And this is so important. First meaning of servant, generally, whoever is created by Allah. So there are scholars who hold the view that this ayah is referring to every single creature of Allah, insan. But there are those who said no. This particular ayah is referring to special servants of Allah, who when they make dua, within a twinkle of an eye, the doors of heavens are opened. So who are they? They said we have what we call mu'min ibadi and mu'min ghairi ibadi. They said you take insan. Insan is either mu'min and ghairi mu'min, either a believer or non-believer, all servants of Allah, but is a believer or non-believer. They said when you come to believer, it's either believer ibadi or believer ghairi ibadi. Who is believer ibadi? Believer who is conscious of committing sins intentionally. He's conscious of Allah. That's consciousness. They said they call it ibadi. Ghair ibadi doesn't mean that it's out of belief. No. Sometimes a person intentionally commits some sins. So some scholars hold the view that here is referring to mu'min ibadi. Those who are conscious. In difficult times, they are needed to invest times in calling Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. But as I said, some scholars said no, it refers to everyone. So everyone, so long as you believe that your creator is Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, you can make dua. But now let's go forward. Very interesting point. In Karibun, this is so awful, man. If you look at the translation before even we go to the understanding of this part, I am near. I am near. Rasulullah tell them, I am near. Of course, this goes with one ayah of the Quran. We are closer to them than the jungle of him. But a question, and here really I seek your indulgence, my dear brothers and sisters. What is the meaning of this Karib near? It's so important. Appreciating these points will ensure that you will never get discouraged when it comes to dua.
Yeah.
You see, scholars like Tabatabai and some other philosophers that we have, they said here Karib is referring to Malikiya, ownership. Ownership. They said we have three types of ownership. We have what they call recognized ownership. This is within Islamic philosophy. What is recognized ownership? They said our ownership of everything that we have. We are recognized because we work for it. Otherwise, I may lose it or die and leave it. So I'm not necessarily the owner of this phone or iPad that I'm using. I'm not necessarily the owner of this house. When I talk of owner, I'm an absolute owner. I'm a recognized owner. I'm recognized by law that I own it. Second ownership, they call it true ownership. What is true ownership? Our ownership of our thoughts.
Okay.
Right of admission reserved, sometimes it is said. You know, you publish books, the right of admission reserved. Because it's somebody's intellectual material.
Intellectual property, yes.
So that's we call true ownership. Because yes, you put it on a paper, but at the end of the day, if a person dies, depart from this world, the person will be buried with it. The third one is what this verse is talking about. Absolute true ownership. Example, Allah's ownership of everything. For inni karibun, I am your absolute owner. Why don't you call on me? I'm your master. I'm the absolute owner. So your absolute owner, your cause, must always be with you through thick and thin.
I love the idea of Allah being near. Near to every situation, nearer to you than your own thoughts. And it's also something that is promised to the people of paradise, nearness to God.
Absolutely.
Sometimes a seat, or sometimes a house, or sometimes being one of the muqarrabeen is exactly that, isn't it? Being one of the people who are drawn near.
Absolutely.
Almost like God is always near you, but the idea that you being near God is something that's a reciprocal relationship that will only come about through building that through dua.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's really our biggest challenge, is that because God is there. So that is why, you know, in mysticism, they say Allah comes to you in full. You know, it's up to you how you want to take Allah. Some take him 1%, some take him 2%, some take him 3%. You know, so it really depends on the capacity you are able to build around you, so that you are able to absorb Allah more. And that is why in Hadith al-Qudsi, Allah himself tells us, you see, the son of Adam, I love you with my whole existence. Why when I come to you, run away from me? And so through dua, number one, we gain that proximity. And once you gain that proximity, when you lift your hands, when you raise your hands to make dua, before you drop those hands, the doors of heavens are opened by Allah Ta'ala. And I've seen currently in the situation we all found ourselves in across the globe, there are really good number of Muslims, and even non-Muslims, we can't forget that, who are really playing their part, who are trying their level best. But one area which people are doing something, but not that much, is dua.
And it's Salahul Mu'min. It's our weapon. We don't have anything.
Absolutely, that's it. You smashed it, man. Salahul Mu'min, absolutely, is the weapon of a believer. That is the weapon. Call on him. You don't have to pay money for it.
So we feel so helpless, like I don't have anything. But forgetting that in our hands is the most important thing. It's the, you know, it's the only thing that will actually be helpful. And if it's not the fifth thing on the list, or when all else fails, then try dua. It's an actual active thing that we can do. And, you know, I feel like maybe this is just my personality, but when things are tough, that's when the du'as come out from the heart. You know, when things are going well, you know, it's alhamdulillah. But when things are tough, that's the time when the real pain hits and the du'as really come from inside.
Absolutely. And you know what you've just mentioned? The next line explains it. So if you look at the next line, it's beautiful, man. You will say maybe it's a conditional sentence. So if you look at it, said, أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. I respond to the invocation of the supplicant when he calls. When he calls. So the technical place here is إِذَا دَعَانِ. When he calls. One ayah said, "Ud'uni astajib lakum." Call on me and I'll respond to you. But here he says, either that either is either shartiyah. It's conditional. So here, Mufassirin, when they really looked at this line, then here Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is talking of dua ul haqiqi. True dua. So what is true dua? That's the question. They said we have dua haqiqi, we have dua ghair haqiqi. Some du'as are not hakiki. So they said, dua hakiki, number one, is when you call Allah even when you are not in trouble. I'm in raha, no issue. And in fact, we have a tradition here from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, that when your tongue is used to dua, your body, I'm just paraphrasing the tradition, your body becomes used to the dua. So when you are faced with any challenge, the moment you start making dua, the angels will be bearing witness. We are used to this voice. And it easily goes to heaven.
Beautiful.
So dua ul haqiqi is very important. And of course, the second condition of this, iza da'ani, is what? Udu Allah wa antum muqinuna bil ijaba, as the Holy Prophet mentioned. Don't just make dua, but do dua while you are certain it will be accepted by Allah.
We say it all the time, don't we? At the, we repeat this verse, Amma yujibu, at the end of all of our programs. Whenever, when we're little, we all know this line from the Quran. He is the one who answers, and we have to keep reminding ourselves of that meaning, so that then we can see the effect of this verse in our lives.
Absolutely, inshallah. I totally agree with you. Always, Amma yujibul muttar. So we just need to keep reflecting on this.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier on, our brothers and sisters, they need our du'as. Don't undermine your du'a, my dear brother and sister, whoever is watching this. Don't undermine your du'a. Maybe it is that your voice which will open all the doors of heaven. You never know. Maybe your heart is that tranquil heart. You never know. So don't undermine the power given to you by Allah when it comes to making dua. Just be determined, sit somewhere in your own language, really. You don't have to go through conventional way of doing dua. No. It's not needed. You can raise up your hands in your own language. Simple thing. Allah make it easy for these children. Allah make it easy for these women. Allah make it easy for these families. Because families are getting split. Families are getting scattered. They don't know where they are going. They don't know whether they will wake up tomorrow morning. Nobody knows. Nobody has an idea. Can you imagine? You are going to bed. You don't even know where you're going to sleep because there is no proper place for you to sleep. And upon all that, you do not know what's going to happen tomorrow. Will you be able to wake up? Will you lose a father, a mom, a brother, a sister? So, my dear brothers and sisters, let us put ourselves in their shoes for a second. I know we are doing, but let us do it again. When you are looking for something in life, how determined you are in making dua. Here is Allah's promise. Allah is promising us through our beloved prophets. When they come to you concerning me, tell them I am near. So we are saying to you, my dear brothers and sisters, our Palestinian brothers and sisters, they need to ask to open those our mouths to this to ask, inshallah. Or even in your heart, you make that dua. And then of course Allah towards the end encourages us more. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. It's really very, very powerful. So let them respond to me. How? Call on me. Make a dua. Make dua. Allah said, tell them I'm near. He's inviting you. It's like the ayah, Udu'uni astajib lakum.
Yeah. And there's real emotion in this verse, don't you find? Like,
very
you feel like Allah is shaking you, saying,
it's
do it.
It's like your son or your daughter, they want something, they don't get it. They want to express themselves. Allah, Allah is appealing to us.
Yeah.
I love you. Make dua. So let them respond to me. That's what the ayah is telling us. And then look at what it says. By obedience and believe in me, that they may be rightly guided. So believe that Allah will accept your dua.
Yes.
Believe. Don't do it with shak. Believe Allah. So therefore, this ayah really is an invitation that we can also play our part by making dua for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And dua, it heals the heart. It's not just making the dua. It heals you as a person also.
Yeah.
It heals you. When you start opening and praying and calling on Allah, what it does is that it connects you with the world of the unseen. And once you are connected within that few minutes or seconds, you'll feel the spark. And once you feel the spark, that's the time you find the healing in your heart. So let's try, even if it is once in a day, or before your Fajr Salah every morning. Or no, before you go out of your house. Before you go to bed, you make wudu. Pray for Palestinians. They need us. They need our du'as. Inshallah. There are so much, but of course, time. We have to go to the next verse.
Let us move.
Yeah, so the next verse is definitely linked to what we've just. So
Yeah.
it's Quran 2, 152.
Yes, on my Quran study journal, it is page 28, inshallah.
Page 28, inshallah. It's very powerful verse. فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ Allahu Akbar. And then he said, وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونِ. So remember me, I will remember you, and be grateful to me, and do not deny me, meaning don't become ungrateful to me. Here, again, my dear brothers and sisters, one weapon of tawakkul is dhikr. Dhikr is not just dua. Dua, someone of a lower level calling someone of a higher level. Dhikr is more or less like munajat. It's the conversation of the lover with the beloved. That's dhikr. You remembering him. You know, guess your wife or your husband or your son or daughter travels and they are no more. You know, they will come back after some time, but they're no more in the house. When you remember them, how do you feel? That connection. Allah wants you to remember him that way at least. Don't see Allah as someone who is so far from you. Remember. And what better time to remember Allah than this time on behalf of our dear brothers and sisters in Palestine? And of course, there are so many teachings when it comes to this importance of remembering Almighty Allah, importance of doing dhikr. And you know very, very well, I begin with this tradition where Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala himself mentions with the son of Adam, remember me within yourself. I will remember you within myself. This tradition is called dhikrun qalbi.
Yeah.
Whereby you don't say it with your mouth, but you remember Allah within your heart. What is remembering Allah within your heart? I believe and trust. Allah is there for me.
Yeah.
But here I believe and trust Allah is there for Palestinians. So you imagine Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala as a merciful Lord, as a giving Lord, as Lord who when you call, he comes. So here Zikrun Qalbi goes, you imagine Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. But further than that, we have Zikrun bil Lisan. Now where you going to invoke with your tongue. You're going to call on Allah. But now you're going to say Allah give, Allah give. No. You're going to praise Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. Ya Ra'uf, Ya Rahim. And when Ya comes, you are appealing to Allah. Ya Aliyu, Ya Azimu, Ya Ghafuru, Ya Rahim. Ya is harfun nida. I'm appealing to Allah. So dhikr is a way of appealing to Allah. But you're not saying, give me. No. I am invoking him. I am inviting him to my life and to the lives of these Palestinian brothers and sisters. So, and Allah directly to you, فَذُكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. Remember me. I will remember you. Why don't you?
It's so strengthening. Like, just I feel like sometimes when we see these images, it makes us feel like it wilts us almost. We feel really weak and like, you know, but thinking about dhikr and thinking, oh Allah, you are, you know, all aware, or you are all powerful, you know, and is something that can then strengthen you to be able to carry on or do more things that's more helpful, you know, to just that dhikr. And it's almost like we have, remembering God makes us remember who we are as human beings as well. Because it's like the opposite of that verse, don't be like those who forgot Allah, so they forgot their own selves.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You
it's
can't.
like, you know, if you forget, almost like if you forget that perspective of that Quranic perspective, that Allah is the one who, you know, like you said in the first verse that we mentioned, is, you know, all aware of everything that's happening, that is all understanding, that is all just. If you forget that perspective when you're looking at these images, then you've forgotten the whole idea, the whole, you know, your own self.
Absolutely. No, you are totally right, Tahsin. You know, zikr is really reminding us or inviting us to acknowledge our true selves and to understand who we are. And as they say, you know, obviously Allah is a necessary being, you know, Allah is necessary. And through zikr, you get to understand that. And we are possible beings. And so zikr is having sense of belonging to Allah. That's al-intima. You have that sense of belonging to Allah. So it gives you that sukoon. That, you know what, the one I have sense of belonging to is the most powerful, is the superpower. He's the most powerful.
So what does it mean to say that Allah remembers you?
Powerful one. So you see here in this ayah, it's a promise by Allah. You remember me, I remember you. And we have a beautiful tradition in this regard based on this question that you just asked. Very, very beautiful question. Number one, he said, remember me above the ground, or remember you inside the ground. So that's the first level. Like, you know, you are in dunya, just remember Allah. Have sense of belonging to Allah. Let Allah be your criteria. Whatever you do, it goes around Allah. Allah happy, not happy. So what will happen? In your difficulties down there, Allah will be there for you. That's one. Number two, the tradition says, remember me in difficulties. I will remember me in easiness. I will remember you in difficulties. Like now, some of us, alhamdulillah, I'm sitting in the comfort of my house. Those watching us, whoever they are sitting, living in their own comfort. We are at ease. Our lives are not threatened. We are sort of protected, if you like. Do we remember Allah? If you remember Allah now, when we are in difficulties, what happens? Allah remembers me that you will keep us going. I may be in pain, but I will keep going. I will get motivations from nowhere, and that will keep me going. So, and the ayah you quoted, don't forsake him. If you forsake him, he will leave you to yourself. Like Imam Zainab said, Ya Allah, do not leave us tarfata aynin abada. You know, just for a twinkle of an eye, never. Because if you leave us to ourselves or with ourselves, Quran tells us that he is the one that those in heaven and earth are in need of. So you remember him in easiness, he will remember him in difficulty. Now look at the third one, which has relation with what we are doing. Remember my servant with mercy. I will remember you with my mercy. Our Palestinians, they need us in whatever way possible for humanity. That is the calling. Allah also will remember us with his mercy. Prophet mentions beautifully, Ar-Rahimuna yarhamuhum ar-Rahman. irhamu man fil ardi yarhamukum man fis sama. Those who are merciful, the most merciful will shower his mercy unto them. But then he says, show mercy unto those on earth. The one in heaven will show mercy. So it's so important. Allah will remember us with his mercy, with his love, with his protection, with his provisions, with his forgiveness. And it's a guarantee. He said, فَذُكُرُونِي أَذْكُرُكُمْ. In fact, one tradition tells us, when my servant think of me, I will be next to him. I am there. That moment when my servant think of me. And so, of course, I know time. So the last type of zikr is what? So you said the first one with your heart, second one with your tongue, the third one, your action. How do you do zikr with your action? By going out there manifesting what Allah has instructed you to do. To love to these brothers and sisters. Donate towards their plight. It's so important. You know, remember them in your du'as, and that is very, very important. Yeah.
Are we ready to move on?
Yeah, let's do the other one and then we do the last one. It will not take long.
This is the last one.
Yeah.
The one where it will come together, the climax of the discussion, inshallah.
Absolutely, to conclude everything. So if you look at the fourth one, which is Quran 30, verse 53, Surah Al-Rum.
30:63, did you say?
Yeah, it's, yeah, 30:53, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, 30:53. وَمَا أَنْتَ بِهَادِ الْعُمِيِّ عَنْ ضَلَالَتِهِمْ إِن تُسْمِعُ إِلَّا مَنْ يُؤْمِنْ بِآيَاتِنَا فَهُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. Firstly, this is our beloved Prophet.
Okay.
And obviously those who did not take heed to the calling of our beloved Prophet and decided to take their own direction. And then, of course, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala now is saying to our beloved Prophet, and you cannot guide the blind away from their error. You know, they blindfolded, unfortunately. They couldn't see the light you came with. So you can't. And then he said, you will only hear those who believe in our verses. So they are here, the translation I have been saying Muslims, but that's fine. In submission to Allah, those who submit to Allah.
My one says those who have submitted.
Excellent. That's the best translation. You know? So here, really, it's talking about the beloved Prophet, but we can bring it to our own sense. You know, how? Sometimes you sit, you're wondering, so people can't see what is happening in Palestine.
You know, you're right.
Sometimes, wallah, I don't know what to do. Yeah. Can't people, some of our world leaders, they can't see. It's all talking points, Sam.
Yeah. You wonder, like, are they not seeing the same thing I'm seeing? Yeah. Are we not looking at the same pictures?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So therefore, the reason why I brought this was I say, you know what? There are some people, you just have to leave them, man, and continue with the good thing you can do. There are
this idea of spiritual blindness, spiritual deafness that is in the Quran repeated so many times. You know, we really are seeing it, as you said, right in front of us.
Absolutely.
What can we do that's the opposite of that? How can we hone that spiritual sight and spiritual hearing? What can we do to make sure that our eyes are open, our ears are open, the ears and eyes of our hearts?
Absolutely. That's very, very important, Tahseen, and that's what it is called basira. So you have the basar and then you have the basira. What is important is the basira, the eyes of our hearts, as Imam Ali said. I saw Allah not with my naked eyes, but I saw him in the reality of my heart, meaning the eyes of my heart. Now, how do we activate that? Because, you know, it is something inbuilt. Potentially, we all have the potential. There is no one who does. That's the fiqh. We all have the potential. But now, is to activate it, which is very, very important. There are some practical tips, really, which I would like to share with my dear brothers and sisters. The first one is to try as much as you can to hang around or associate with people who remind you of your responsibilities, not just as Muslim alone, but as a good human being. Because sometimes I cannot do it alone. I need someone next to me to lift me up. Sometimes I reach rock bottom and giving up completely. You know what? Who am I? I don't have any power. There's nothing that I can do. God is even God is not there. Can't you see this? So you need to always be around people, one way or the other, who inspire you or who remind you of your duty. That's very, very important. As Quran mentions, تعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان. You know, assist each other in doing what? In righteousness is of great importance. So that's number one. Number two, really by tuning in to listen to programs like this one and other programs is so important. But this type of programs, it may be just an hour or a little bit more, an hour, but it reminds us of who we are as human beings. It reminds us of who we are as true servants of Almighty Allah. It reminds us that, you know what, don't take what you have for granted. Put yourself in the shoes of the innocent people who have lost their lives. So attending programs or tuning in for me is of great importance. That's number two. Number three, as I mentioned earlier on, Quran, my dear brothers and sisters. Wallahi, Quran. There is nothing like Quran I have not seen in my life. What really has helped me and keeps me going, wallah, I will say Quran. Even I don't think I've done enough, but Quran is a healer. Quran softens the heart. Just start your Quran journey. If you've not started, just start it. Take this Quran journal by the sun behind cloud. You know, start something. Wallahi, I promise you, my dear brothers and sisters, you will never regret. You can't hold on to Quran and regret. It's impossible. It's not possible. You know, Imam Zainal Abidin says, if I lose everything and I have Quran with me, I'm done with loneliness. I'm done with loneliness. So Quran is of great importance. And then, of course, last but certainly not the least, is really to take lessons and reflect upon from the lives of the prophets of Allah. Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wassalam. Let's take inspirations from their lives. Don't just be alone. If you are alone, you may easily give up. I'm telling you, my brother, you will easily give up. Try, you know, be active here and there. And that will definitely open the heart, the eyes of our hearts. And inshallah, by so doing, God will sit there. And once God sits there, then it will be all khair and barakah. And then, of course, the last verse, that is Khitamuhu Misk, that is the last verse, Khitamuhu Misk, which is a very simple and straightforward verse, my dear brothers and sisters. It is Quran 61, verse 13, Surah to Saf. That's the last one.